Perfect. It's kind of dangerous to speak on revolution. I mean, imagine getting that brief, revolution, and I mean, most revolutions come from like huge things, like people fighting or carrying big red flags or doing something like that. And I think, like, if you're talking about a revolution, like how am I going to sell my ideas, or how can I do what I want, or how my client is going to understand me, it's not really a revolution. It's kind of just silly, you know? So, but if you think about it for a second, you think that, well, if you're going to start a revolution, you have to be against something. You don't start a revolution if you're happy. I wouldn't start a revolution in the summer, you know, when I'm outside and on vacation. But you do start a revolution when you start to get angry, or you get discouraged, or you have issues. And so in order to do that, you can't really have a revolution. You have to have like a fucking revolution, you know? It has to be like for real. And for me, it's like, my thing is that if how many people work in the advertising industry? Okay, so, and a lot of other people work in creative industries, and maybe there's some clients here. It's all kind of the same problem. You have to buy and sell. And the problem with ideas and buying and selling is someone has to try to convince you, and someone has to actually purchase it. And so for me, through my entire career, up until November 2012, I'm like you, struggling with all these issues. And I think when you start out in the industry, for me anyway, it was like you get a brief, and the first thing that I thought anyway was, okay, I'm going to come up with an idea that's going to change the world. If you don't, you should probably be doing something else. And each brief that comes, I'm going to change the world. This idea is going to be great. Everyone in the whole world is going to see it. The problem is that you have a client. And either the client doesn't get what you're talking about, or they're scared of the idea that you present, or they don't have the budget for it. So, and if you work quite a few years, and you work on big projects, and you work on small projects, and you find certain clients that are pretty okay, but you're still not all the way, then you can tend to get frustrated, and then you get angry, and then you have to start a fucking revolution. So that was the case until Tony. I've known Tony for a long time, so I think in November 2012, he calls me up and, speaking in his Gothenburg dialect, tells me that he's just become the CEO of Oatly, and we should do something together, because I'd worked with Tony on different projects over 10 years. So, and I thought, Oatly, what's that? Oat drink? It's really weird. No idea what that is. So then I just thought, okay, well, if it's Tony, it's fine, because it's going to be pure and true and real and everything. And then I thought, wow, am I going to actually be able to do this stuff? And who's going to buy it? Because it didn't take long to figure out I would be buying my own work. And then it was up to me to approve my own ideas. And that sounded perfect. So, and Tony is, in a sense, also involved in the buying process, but he doesn't stop anything. His only brief is it has to be world class. So in November 2012, Tony starts officially as the CEO, and he goes in and he has all the meetings with everyone at Oatly. And I sit at home and create this book called Change. And it was like, it was delivered to everyone in the company after 30 days. It was in wood, and it was full with all these wild and crazy thoughts and things I'm going to go through here. And I don't really know, because I wasn't there when it was presented, but I don't really think that everyone really fully understood what that book was. The board, you have to realize that the board of directors took the biggest risk in the Oatly project because they hired Tony. Tony's not from the food industry. He has no background in the food industry. And so that they hired Tony and let him go and supported him, that's the big risk. So for us, it's just to do it. So everything I'm going to talk about is basically based on the board. And I'm someone who always didn't like boards because I figured they also killed all the ideas that you try to do. But we did this book, and this book was all about, I'm not going to show you the book because that would take another 20 minutes, but it was all about creating a cool company culture. And then I put recreating there because the story of Oatly, it's like, it was like a revolutionary product for people who were basically lactose intolerant in the 90s. It was a research project. Is there an easier way for the environment and for people's health to just skip the cow? And in the beginning, it was a startup. It was visionary. It was entrepreneurial. They did all their creative work in-house, and it was great. But as the company grew in all its steps, it became a mini Unilever or Procter & Gamble. And anyone who's worked with those big companies knows that it's just very difficult, you know? When we came in, they were looking at statistics on the screen to find answers to their creative problems. And we basically threw out all of the science, everything we threw out. We don't want to look at any studies. We know who we're talking to. We don't care how many people know our product because no one knows our product. They know our flag and they've never tried our product. So it was quite simple strategy. But the whole thing was trying to create this company culture. And I probably confused a lot of people. We said, okay, this is our strategy now, and it was just this weird diagram of all these crazy stuff that we could do and a new website and ambassadors and everything. But the thing is if I go back to a second to this book, this is all we've done. We've executed the book. And we were right. After 30 days in the beginning, we were right in all the strategy, and now we've just executed it. So, Sarah's here who works with us in social media. She can tell you that the company has changed quite a lot because when you're going to get people to change, no one wants to change. Everyone's kind of scared. It's a sideways movement. What's going to happen? And I think over the period of the time, once we started doing things, the packaging come out, everyone changes naturally. You have to actually show them things. So I'll just show you a little bit more. This was how we were going to work. And then we decided that we had to do departments because Tony said we have to have departments. So we made like these logo types for them because we thought that maybe that will help. And I don't know. I think it just confused people completely. Here's our strategy. We're going to move from a non-dairy alternative to a sustainable nutritional health company. So instead of talking about a product, we're going to help people's health. And we're going to move from a food processing company to a lifestyle brand. And then you're thinking like, oh, we're going to run around at cool events and be really cool and be lifestyle and skateboard or do something like that. But it's not really that at all. It's actually, if you're a food processing company, you're a food processing company. It's not very relevant to you guys who are just living your lives. But if we're a lifestyle brand, it forces us to fit into your lives, to be a part of your lives. And I think everything that we've done creatively is trying to find a way to fit in naturally and be a part of your life, you know. And that's the whole thing. This is what we looked like before. I mean, according to the codes of design for food products, everything pours from the right. I thought this made us look more like a Dutch multinational than a local Swedish company. So what we actually wanted to do is move to this, but we didn't know that this was what we wanted to move to when we had the old packaging, actually. So we did our strategy, and then we thought, okay, well, how are we ever going to, I mean, we're looking like this now. And then we say, okay, we want to be a lifestyle company, we want to be cool, we want to make everything work, but how do we do it? And we work extremely simply. This is something that's really good, and it'll get me in a lot of trouble if people quote it and hashtag it and everything. But I don't really care because this is what we divided the world into a very black and white perspective. There are good companies and there are evil companies, and then there are companies that are scared shitless, and there's companies that are fucking fearless. And 90% of the companies and everyone working in the creative business knows this is your problem. They're all working and everyone's scared because there's a logo and there's brand values and there's a CEO with a tie. And all those people are very scared about their job and their shareholders and their stakeholders and all this. And they're all here. And some of them are a little bit more evil, some of them are a little bit good, but they can't really do anything great. So our plan was we're going to be good and fucking fearless in every single thing that we do. And if you look at the other side, it's like Monsanto. They're like fucking fearless, but totally evil. And so we wanted to be the complete opposite from Monsanto, actually. And then we have this little list of things. This is just kind of a checklist because it's good to have checklists. So we said we're going to be honest. We're always going to tell the truth in everything we do, and people are going to feel that we're honest. We're going to be fearless. We're going to be human and not a logo. So I personally hate logos because I think it's just a shield that you hide behind. So we're going to try to feel human. We're going to be consistently inconsistent. So we threw the marketing research out. So we haven't segmented it's people who are interested in their health and the environment. That's everyone. So we're going to talk to everyone. So if we're consistent, we're only going to talk to one person. So if we're inconsistent, we're just going to do a bunch of really cool stuff, and then we're going to people will find us. So we're going to be super interesting. We're going to be world class. That's our only brief. When we look at something, is that world class? If it's not, we just redo it. That's it. It sounds really utopian, but it actually is exactly what we do. And then don't be evil. And everyone who's seen everything that we've done, read the packages, watched Tony, he's like the antithesis of evil. He's like really nice. And he is like that for real, isn't he, Sarah? Yeah, he's like that for real. I mean, when we shot the commercials, it was just show Tony how he is in an average day at work, and that's exactly how he is, actually. Imagine now, I've always worked with a client, and now I have an agency, and it's the best agency in Sweden. And I get to work with them. And then I thought in the beginning, because Tony either worked with me or he worked with another guy called Martin Ringqvist, like over 10 or 15 years. So when I did a project with him, they worked with me, and then when he worked with Martin on other projects, but I had never met Martin. And Martin worked at Forsman and Bodenfors. So one day Tony says, I think we should work with them because we're so small, we have to do all this stuff, and we're too few people. So I meet Martin at Forsman and Bodenfors, and it's kind of weird. They don't know who I am because a creative director in the food industry, and I don't know who they are because they're just this huge agency, and I just figured this was going to be kind of weird. And Tony's just like, you're writing all the writing all the copy, and you're going to do. And I thought, how do I tell the best agency in Sweden and the best copywriter in Sweden that I'm going to write the copy when I'm the client? It's kind of weird. But what happened is that we don't have an agency-client relationship at all. I just go up there and we work, and then everything's bought. There's no presentations. There's no selling. We just work together. They come down and they're inside our company. They have all our briefs. They talk to everyone. They know all our secrets. And I'm in their company, and there's no politics or anything at all. I write the copy. The weird thing is that Martin was approving my copy. So I'm at the company and I'm writing the copy, and the copywriter at the agency is giving me feedback. That's just weird. But actually I was joking about that because it's the same thing. We approve each other's thing. There's just seamless. And that probably more than anything is the reason why things look like they do. That we just work super fluid. So, and I'll get to it maybe on my last slide of all, and I'll just tell you what my last slide is about, and it's basically about that you have to totally redo the advertising industry because it's not really working, it's broken. But, and you guys can ask me more questions about this later, but it's just, I think that's maybe the whole thing. I can't speak for the whole agency of Forsman and Bodenfors, but I know that one thing is that if you're a client and you're working with an agency, the only thing you have to do is make them think that you're the best client they will ever have, and they will just work like crazy. So, and it's quite simple. It's just to work with them and not give them an idea and tell them what you think. So anyway, I'm gonna just show you what happened. I don't know if everyone's seen everything. I'm not gonna show you a lot of slides because everything's online, but I'm gonna show you a few things. And one is just kind of a recap of everything. So if I just hit the button again, it will go, won't it? Yeah. A 20-year-old maker of oat drinks suddenly experiences a 50% sales increase over a 6-month period without releasing a new product. Is this even possible? In Sweden, milk is religion. For over 80 years, milk has been untouchable. To grow, we needed to increase awareness of plant-based alternatives. So we changed our packaging, combining unpredictable design with provocative thoughts, such as, wow, no cow, and it's like milk but made for humans. This caused the milk industry to choke on their own product, and in their arrogance, they decided to sue us for speaking the truth. We said thank you, and we put the entire lawsuit online so everyone could read it. This generated massive support from the public, who saw the milk industry as an oversized bully. Then we put our oat drinks in magazines. At music festivals, even created the world's first coffee festival without milk. And we made our CEO, Tony, be part of 30 commercials, which included writing his own song and singing it in the middle of an oat field, walking around half naked, even cooking with his mom. All this made us feel less like a corporation and more like a collection of real people. Now, sales just keep growing, the milk industry has come crashing down, and people in Sweden are giving up milk in record numbers, which is good for the planet and the health of the people who live here. And that's pretty important, don't you think?
Nice and corporate and corny at the end with the wings.
I think maybe everyone's seen these films of Tony, and I can just touch on them quickly, because just to show you the level of the commitment. Tony said the brief is world class, so he has to do anything we tell him to do as long as it's world class. And that's basically it. And he's a super private person. He doesn't want to be in the films, but how do you make the packages come to life? We thought we would just show Tony. So, and we wrote these scripts for Tony, but we wrote fake scripts for him. So we just wanted to show how he is in like real life, like in a day in the office, and we figured if we showed that, everyone would like him, and then everyone would like us. So we wrote these fake scripts, and the night before we're going to do all the filming, he calls me up and he says, "John, these are just terrible. These are really bad," because he sees everything. He's one of the best I've ever seen at reading an idea, and he just said, "This is terrible. We can't film this." And I said, "Well, I don't know. We'll just have to take the loss if it doesn't work out." So we had the script, and he's looking at the script. And in the meantime, I'm talking to him. And then everyone's standing aside so he doesn't know we're filming. And then we're just filming him complaining about the fact he doesn't want to be in the film. And then he's like, "Okay, are we going to start?" And then we said, "No, we're finished. Let's go to the next one." And we kind of did that the whole time. I was just trying to get him going. And then sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't. But most of the time it worked. And I think that you see, there's one where he's looking at his green plants, and that was a completely different idea. And then we just taped him in the car, the sound of him just complaining that his kids are going to hate him. His family's scared to death. It's so unfair. How can we do this? And then we just put that over a picture where he's watering plants. So here's the packaging. I think the whole thing we did is based in the packaging. Our whole thought was, we don't have any money, so we got to make the packaging stick out, and people have to find it. And if they find it, they're going to pick it up and they're going to read it. If they read it, if they start looking at this, they're going to read it and they're going to take it home and try it. And then the product has to work by itself. So those two things got us in trouble, but we'll get to that in a second. These are the packages, and everything's a little bit of a short story. Again, I wrote the packaging, I think, everything in 2 hours, but it took a few weeks to get to the point where the voice was there, and then it just went so fast because it was so fun. These are the new ones here, and they're a lot more telling the story about us, like we promised to be a good company. This is a whole story about Bigfoot, or what we believe in, or what I believe in. Sorry. And then we just did some stuff like, sometimes it's just like you can't figure out what to say on the milk. on the package, so I thought I'd get rid of my donut machine or my bicycle. And the problem is people are emailing me like crazy, wanting the bicycle, and I have to tell them, oh, it went really fast. And then I want your donut machine. Well, I'll say that one too. Maybe a barbell? And then we made these ads, and we put these in, again, we put these in morning papers. I don't know why. It was probably a bad media choice, but we just figured it was serious, and they're all in English, and then everyone's calling it. We have this customer service department, and it's just ringing the whole time because we're always doing things that people are complaining about. And I think young people don't see it's in English or Swedish, but the older generation thinks that we're ruining the country. I had one guy call me and told me I personally am responsible for ruining the entire Swedish language. And I told him that, yeah, you know, if I was going to ruin the Swedish language, I would choose the side of an oat drink package as my platform because so many people read them. Yeah, wow, cow. Then we wrote this one because everyone was complaining it was in English, so I tried to write in Swedish, and it's really bad. And then I said, basically, you know, sorry, I'm really bad, but now that I did that, you can at least try the product. Someone called us and complained that the Swedish in the middle of the ad was grammatically incorrect. For real. I signed it. That's also really corny. That says that it takes brains to be stupid, and it's just about the fact that we must be really stupid to think that we can do all the things, you know, think that we can actually be a good company when most companies aren't. And then, whoops. Yeah, this one, it tastes like shit, blah, but that's just what some people don't like it, so it's okay to admit that some people don't like it because there's more to do. And that's the Bigfoot ad. I encourage you all to find that someplace and read it. Then some people say, well, what are you going to do next? Because we weren't doing advertising at all. We were doing information. So then we did this advertising campaign. And it's just it says almost like a proper breakfast. It's a breakfast drink. And then it just says, shit, I'm late, shit, I'm late, shit, I'm late, shit, I'm late, and shit, I'm late. Because it doesn't solve anyone's problem. And then we did one that said, where's the fucking bus? And I wrote fucking 25 times in Expressen and Aftonbladet. So maybe that's an accomplishment or maybe not. Just to give you an idea of how low we go, how detailed we go, I put my email on the side of the package because it said, like, I promised everyone if they drank the product, it would make their lives so much better and they would be such a better person. And if that didn't actually happen, they could write me an email and I would write them a poem, a personal poem, original poem, or a short story. And so they actually are writing like crazy, and then I'm trying to write poems and short stories for real. And I've got my poems down to haikus because they're just like, I don't know, 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables, they're quite short. So, and then I write short stories here that are basically just one sentence because that's all I can do. I don't know if you want to hear the poem or not, but I think I'll skip it. Yeah, so here's someone, actually this was my goddaughter who wrote that, and I didn't figure it out till after I read it, but because I thought it was someone joking, but she wanted both a short story and a poem. I thought that was a bit demanding. And Tony's, you know, half Japanese, so he's really impressed that I'm writing haikus. This was just someone who complained. My mom has now officially replaced regular milk with whatever that stuff you make is. Thanks. I was promised a poem or a story if I wrote you an email, so get started. Please make me laugh. Norwegian girl, not exactly your biggest fan. So I had that slide back at the beginning that said fucking fearless, and I can show you the second that the company became totally fearless. I think this actually changed. We were sued, of course, by the milk industry, and obviously you shouldn't laugh when you get sued by the milk industry, but when that came, I kind of laughed because they were suing us for speaking the truth, you know, like for saying it's like milk but made for humans, which Milk is, of course, biologically not made for humans. It's made for baby cows. So I figured they can't get away with this. But and then they sued us for this, and they sued us no milk, no soy, no badness. And if you go in and on the website, you can read everything. They've actually sued us for every little line that I wrote in the small text in the website, which is like not even important. I was just bored and didn't know what to write. But when we ran this ad, actually, that explained the situation, the company changed. Because no one does that. No one goes head to head with the milk lobby. And the fact that we did it gave us a lot of confidence, and it changed the company. Everyone in the company was fighting for, their own survival. Is most people in here Swedish? Yeah? So I'm going to play, we worked with Alex and Siggy, who have a podcast. Some of you probably know, but it's quite an interesting form. It's advertising, but not. It's their own personal opinion, and they can say whatever they want. And just to show you how far that we go, I thought I would just play one of the segments that they actually did. And so if you're not Swedish, then I'm sorry. But
vi är den här veckan återigen sponsrade av Oatly.
Och där har vi hamnat mitt i en dramatisk händelseutveckling.
Det visste vi inte alls när vi började, men det är spännande att följa ju.
Det vi visste var att vi trodde på Oatly.
Ja, det gör vi fortfarande. Det är kanske mer nu än någonsin med tanke på vad som håller på att hända. Det är alltså svensk mjölk, alltså den samlade svenska mjölkproducenterna som har stämt Oatly därför att de då snackar skit om mjölk, kan man säga, i marknadsföringen.
Allegedly.
Ja, men det handlade om att de säger i sin kommunikation då, berättar att Oatly, det är som mjölk fast made for humans.
Snarare än för kalvar.
Exakt. Ja, men det är ju så då. Det är väl sant att kossan har mjölk för kalvar och inte för människor.
Ja, och nu visar det sig att det var ganska ostrategiskt av de svenska mjölkproducenterna att stämma Oatly.
Ja.
Eftersom folket nu ställer sig på Oatlys sida, måste man väl ändå säga.
Ja, men jag var inne på Arla Sveriges hemsida på Facebook där de då muntert uppmanade sina besökare att säga hur ser er favoritfrukost ut? Och det är en storm av människor som kommenterar och allas favoritfrukost är då mjölkfri. Det är alltså det här som händer nu. Pandoras mjölkkartong är öppnad och utsipprar nu all möjlig skit då som svensk mjölk egentligen inte ville få ut, kan jag tänka mig.
Får man säga don't fucka med Oatly?
Because Oatly will fucking kill you.
No, because the truth will kill you back, milkfuckers. Får man säga så? Eller blir vi stämda då också?
Vi får väl se.
Yeah. I mean, it's not our opinion that everyone's milk fuckers, but the thing is that the whole thing, and I'll just skim quickly through here. This is, you can see everything that happened. Because we were super honest and we put the entire case on the website and we just told the truth. And we've never complained. We're definitely not against milk. We think it was very unfortunate for them to actually, there's probably a place in society for milk. I'm personally not going to drink it, but, and this is just some of, social media is wonderful. It can go for you or against you. I'm sure that there will be a time where it goes against us. But the message here really is that we're not doing advertising, and that's probably the thing. We're doing something that's more real. I said we did an advertising campaign because we do, but sometimes you do advertising. But most of the time we're trying to figure out there's so many other more interesting things to do than advertising. I think that's one of the key things is that everyone working with this, and I think everyone working at Oatly, you have to realize that this is the most dedicated people I've ever met. It's like I said, recreating the culture in the beginning, but you have to realize that everyone loves the company, and we were maybe a little bit lost and became corporate, but now we're just like a startup. It's like walking into a startup who has 30 years of research and a factory, and we're in 28 or 29 markets or something. You don't get that chance. And now we're doing things that are real. We're finding out how our products fit in, and we're not necessarily doing advertising campaigns. I'm going to show you guys this. It's like fresh now. I'm going to go out with a press release after this. Maybe some of you have read that Way Out West has become milk-free, which is absolutely fantastic. and they're doing it for an environmental reason. So we thought, and then there's some things in the press, is Oatly involved with that? They're the sponsor they bought. We're just a sponsor. We were a sponsor of Way Out West last year. We're a sponsor this year. It's a great platform for us. Everyone's young and forward-thinking, etc. But we thought it would be nice to try to let people have 72 hours without milk in the entire city of Gothenburg. So, well, Way Out West is there. We're going to try to take it to Gothenburg or in Sweden. Anyone can join. They can sign up. I'm going to play a little film then so you can see that.
Back in 2012, Sweden's best music festival, Way Out West, decided that they wanted to be more sustainable. So they made the entire festival meat-free and cut their carbon footprint by 25%. They also became an inspiration for music festivals all over the world to go veggie. So, how do you ever top that? Well, what you do is remove milk and replace it with something more sustainable, like oat drink. Here's what happens when you swap cow's milk for oat drink. Greenhouse gases go down by 69%. Land usage is reduced by 79%. And energy consumption is minimized by 60%. Which, if you think about it, from the planet's perspective anyway, is totally amazing. Welcome to Way Out West 2015. It's the first music festival in the world totally without milk. Because science tells us that oats are so much better for the environment than cows. Here's what we expect to happen if people stop drinking milk for 72 hours. Take the entire city of Gothenburg, for example. Or if all of Sweden joined in. How about the entire planet? Well, we can work on that next year. Anyway, you get the point. It's not bad for swapping cow's milk for liquid oats for a few hours, now is it? Cheers.
So Justin promised me that everyone will go in and sign up immediately after this meeting. No, but here's an example of it's not actually advertising. We're just trying to, look, we're a super small company and it's an oat drink. And an oat drink isn't necessarily by nature super sexy and interesting. So we're just trying to get people to try it. And we're doing it any way that we can. And if people can give milk a rest for 72 hours and try it, maybe they'll actually like it. And then or maybe they won't try it and they won't like it. And at least they'll be thinking in the right direction. So the brief was revolution. And I probably haven't solved the revolution. So I'm going to do it in 2 slides. And this is what I actually wanted to say, but I probably didn't do very well. The current client agency model is useless, counterproductive, lame, corny, and stupid, and is contributing to the production of consistently uninspiring creative executions full of ugly logos and approved brand value checklists. So, and then I'm going to give you the solution here. And the solution is actually that if more companies basically got rid of their marketing departments completely, just get rid of them. And then put in its place a group of people who are trying to do really good ideas with, for example, the agency. So the agency should move into the company and the company should move into the agency. And then you should work together and everyone in this new kind of marketing commercial department should work so that you're getting the best ideas out. That's exactly how we work. There's no approval. No one's approving. I'm approving and then I'm doing it. So I have to blame myself if it turns out quite crap. But everyone is working toward the same goal. And there's a revolution in that because the old model is broken. And then you should prove that you're cool. And I wrote for reals because it's not very cool to write for reals. So you should actually prove that you can't say that you're cool. You need to prove it. You need to do things. And a lot of marketing and advertising doesn't do things. They just try to say it, and then no one believes it because no one's listening. My whole thing is you should stop selling to people, to consumers, to each other. Stop selling ideas to a client because if they have to buy it, they're going to be a bit concerned that they might be buying an old car or something. So it's kind of a broken system. And then the last point I have is just don't be evil. I think people can feel when you're actually trying to do a good thing. And a lot of times companies are so focused on their profits or their stakeholders or their shareholders that they're worried about those things first. And we have shareholders and stakeholders and owners and everything, but we've been very, very good at speaking to them and understanding and explaining to them why we're doing this. And not everyone can do it, but the more companies that do actually do that and work that way, I think you'll see more interesting stuff. So, how's that for time? Like 15, 20 minutes? So that's it. Sorry.